Today we're going to be talking about the link between high-fat diets and cancer progression. We're going to be uncovering groundbreaking research with this crucial connection between these two topics. The first study we're going to be looking at was an experimental animal control study on mice. Mice were divided between two groups, one with a high-fat diet and one with a controlled diet. The progression of lung cancer was monitored using various techniques. Researchers also analyzed the metabolic changes in lung cancer cell growth. The study found that the mice with a high-fat diet accelerated the progression of lung cancer much faster than the mice with the controlled diet. Going deeper into the science of everything, the high-fat diet suppressed fatty acid oxidation and increased oxidative stress in lung cancer cells. This metabolic shift made tumor growth more prominent. This article from the National Library of Medicine provides evidence linking high-fat diets with cancer progression, specifically in the context of lung cancer. These findings show the importance of dietary factors in cancer development and suggest potential targets for intervention. By making healthier choices, it could potentially decrease the risk of cancer or the progression of the cancer if the subject already has cancer. The second study we're going to look at is also an experimental study using mice cells. Like the first study, mice were fed either a high-fat diet or a controlled diet, and the characteristics of intestinal progenitor cells were examined using various techniques. Researchers also conducted vitro experiments using intestinal organoids to elucidate the impact of fatty acids on stem cell properties. The study found that high-fat diet promoted the stemness and thermogenicity of intestinal progenitor cells. Specifically, it enhanced the self-renewal capacity and the reproduction of these cells, leading to an increased likelihood of tumor initiation and growth in the intestines of mice. This study shows that dietary habits can influence the behavior of intestinal stem cells and contribute to collateral cancer development. The last study we're going to be looking at was also an experimental study conducted on both animal models and human renal cell lines. The goal of this study was to investigate the impact of high-fat diet on the stemness and thermogenicity of renal progenitor cells with relevance to kidney cancer. Just like the other experiments, mice were fed either a high-fat diet or controlled diet, and the characteristics of renal progenitor cells were assessed using various techniques. The researchers also utilized human renal cell lines to validate their findings in translational context. The study found that high-fat diets enhanced the stemness and thermogenicity of renal progenitor cells. This effect was associated with alterations in key signaling pathways involved in stem cell maintenance and cancer progression. All of this ultimately leading to increased renal tumor growth and aggressiveness. All of these studies from the National Library of Medicine all kind of cover the umbrella that high-fat diet can link to things like kidney cancer, lung cancer, many of different kinds of cancer, and how high-fat diets can also make cancers worse over time. Specifically looking at the growth of cancer when a high-fat diet is present, and how avoiding a high-fat diet could potentially reduce your risk of cancer or make the cancer not as aggressive. All of the science and articles behind what a high-fat diet can really cause is, simply put, fats are very calorically dense. When someone eats fats in surplus, they are going to be consuming more calories, especially when those fats are saturated fats or the food that has the fat in it has also high sugar and other additives that aren't great for us. When eating that in that surplus, the person is more likely to gain weight, and if that reaches to a certain point of potentially obesity or diabetes or anything like that, that person is automatically going to be more at risk for many diseases, things to do with your cardiovascular system like your heart, and can eventually turn into something like cancer. Specifically cancer of the heart, lungs, kidneys, stomach, colon, anything generally in this area, just because this is where our bodies store fat, because all of our vital organs are right here and fat is used to protect the body. So eating fats won't make you fat or get cancer or anything crazy like that. Things like monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats lower your disease risk actually. It's the bad fats like trans fat and saturated fat that will put you more at risk for these diseases. But still, overall, any fat consumed in excess does have the potential risk to do harm to your body. Like a list of bad fats may be donuts or french fries, but eating one of those a week isn't gonna cause you to have cancer. But say I eat a jar of peanut butter every day, that's not gonna be good for my overall health. A high-fat diet can cause gut bacteria and alter the digestive system. All of this can put your body at risk for obesity, coronary heart disease, and certain types of cancer. As we wrap up this journey, it's evident that our dietary choices hold immense power over our health. By thinking about these studies that we learned about today into our general understanding, we will be empowered to inform decisions that may reduce our cancer risk and promote our overall well-being.